Welcome, everybody, to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all that is sports. You are listening to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. We are bringing you the most comprehensive view of Philadelphia sports by fans for fans. Welcome to what might be a depressing hour here on Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. I am Chris Amos, joined always by Bobby Cash. Bobby, how you feeling?
Look, we knew it was a long shot that they'd win. We didn't expect them to lose that badly, and just like we suspected, I'm feeling like we need a quarterback.
And I'm feeling you're correct.
So that's the way we feel. I'm sure that's the way 70 to 80% of the city feels too. I mean, you can see there's only a select amount of quarterbacks in the NFL that can win a Super Bowl. Let's be honest. There's only probably 5 or 6 guys that can do it. They make those throws. They see receivers before they're open. Jalen Hurts does not.
Does Gardner Minshew make those throws?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That's
some of them.
Yeah.
And I heard a local guy today saying that guy was crazy for saying that Minshew should have started. Why is he crazy? We would have probably been in the game. We had open receivers. They were giving us the pass because they knew he couldn't make the throws. That was their whole game plan. Make him roll out to the left, which he can't do, and take away the run, which you can. An NFL football team, a playoff team can do. They can take away your run. So all the success we had running the ball was totally useless in the playoff game. And how many carries did Jordan Howard have in the game?
Not enough.
0, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He didn't. It's just, well, what you said, the first thing that popped into my head was, the plan that the Buccaneers had to stop the Eagles' offense obviously worked. But what would have happened if all of a sudden, and not that this happens in games or whatever, Minshew is behind center? They got to be looking at themselves like, this 8 in the box might not be the best thing here. But you're right. It was one of those things to where a lot of people breaking down the film could see guys who were open. They could see the fact that Hurts was being pushed to the left, where if he's rolling left, he might as well just take a knee.
Yep.
And guys being open, and he can't hit them. So,
all right, look at the one play in the corner of the end zone where Devontae Smith was open. He throws the ball. The guy must have run 20, 30 yards to get the interception. That ball needs to be thrown a second before it was thrown. It's frustrating, and it stinks because going forward, you know that it's kind of like the Sixers. Like it's like Ben Simmons. They can get you to the playoffs, but you know they're not going to win once they get there.
Thanks for joining us on the chat, Adam. Yes, the Flyers did tie the game. I know they had a goal that was taken away from them. I guess they were offsides from what was from what I read on Twitter. 1-1 against the Islanders, and we'll discuss them later.
And no, it does not help, by the way.
No, and what the Sixers did yesterday didn't help, and the notion that the Dallas Cowboys losing that game, that okay, I'm glad that they lost, but that doesn't help me with the fact that the Eagles lost.
Right. Stay tuned after the show. After we go off the air, Adam will be coming on the air with Neutral Zone. He'll be covering the whole NHL, including the red-hot Florida Panthers, who we picked to win the Cup here on our show. And they've been scoring the hell out of the puck lately, scoring 8, 9 goals a game almost lately as they sit in first place. Unlike the Flyers, who sit almost in last place.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, you did try. I know. It was. I guess we're looking at the NFL and the way that they did the playoffs this year, having that 7th seed in there, kind of didn't work out. The 2 Pennsylvania teams really didn't belong.
Well, the Steelers looked good for a quarter.
They did.
Actually, for almost a half. It was tied with like 2 minutes left in the first half, and then
and their defense got some turnovers early to help them.
Yeah, they played a lot better than the Eagles did early on, at least.
And yeah, when you go back to the Eagles, I guess that The question I have is if it's not Hurts who's the starter next year, who is?
Well, the biggest name we hear is Russell Wilson, and it seems like he's run his course there. It seems like they might let him go, but it's going to take a high price. It's going to take probably 2 or 3 first-round picks, which luckily we have. So, I mean, people say you're mortgaging your future. I mean, really? I mean, usually you only have 1 first-round pick anyway. So, how old is he? 33, 34?
I think he's only 32, actually.
32?
Yeah.
He'd probably play another 5-6 years of good football.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I guess the hand or finger injury that he had, I mean, that's something that'll be taken care of, I believe, in the offseason. I know it's a situation where Howie really, really likes him. Now, is he going to give up 3 first-round picks for him? That there.
All 3. You could do 2 this year, 1 next year.
They could. I would rather see him do 1 this year and 2 next year, but we'll see how that.
Well, they don't have 2 next year then.
They don't? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't think so. I don't think they have 2 next year. I know they had 3, of course, this year, but I don't think they made any trades for next year.
Okay. Well, then I guess they'd have to do that. I guess they'd have to do 2 this year, and maybe that 1 next year. But
and they can have Hurts too. I said to a guy on Twitter earlier, the Northwest Territory Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, tweeted me, "Would you do this trade?" I said, "Not only would I do the trade, you can have Hurts."
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that the Seahawks would be interested in. If Pete Carroll would want him out there or not.
Why not? Right? They don't have anybody waiting in the wings. The quarterback.
No, and they're Geno Smith was the backup this year, so that answers that question.
Right.
You would have to think though that Seattle may be interested in something like that because that team's going to have to do a rebuild at least for a season.
Yeah.
The way it looks.
And in the NFL, I mean, you can within it doesn't take forever like it does in the NBA. You can get good and within 2-3 years, as you've seen many teams go from last to first, especially because you get the last place schedule, which helps you in the NFL, of course. And there's a lot of turnover. Teams flip their rosters all the time. That's the other question that comes. You're gonna get Russell Wilson. He's gonna get $40 million.
Correct.
That hits your cap. It hits your cap hard.
Yeah, I know $82 million under the cap or whatever would be available as what the number is for the Eagles. Now how that money gets used or who it goes to is a good question. I mean, it's interesting to look at it and to play GM, and it's frustrating to know who the GM of the Eagles have as GM with some of the picks that were made that just glaringly stood out as failures on the field on Sunday, namely Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever see him in Eagles uniform again.
Unfortunately, I think you will. I think the fact that he would take a $10 million cap hit, I think the Eagles will bring him back and try to do something with him again, even though it's going to be a mistake. I mean, my goodness, I mean just in the area of special teams and trying to return punts, it was a disaster.
We said it all year long.
I know.
Every time he caught a punt, he runs right out of bounds. He just wants to get out of. He doesn't want to get hit. Doesn't want any contact. Doesn't want to make any moves. Just wants to go out of bounds. And you said play GM, which is exactly what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to go through the roster. We'll name some players, and we'll give our opinion on whether or not they should be back or not.
Let me ask you this real quick. What do you think of Deshaun Watson?
I've never thought he's a championship quarterback. I've watched him play a lot. I've seen him go in the playoffs. I don't think he's another guy that I don't think he has the accurate throwing arm to win a Super Bowl. He's
somebody who the owner really likes. Now, how much that plays into it, I don't know. I just know that those were some of the reports early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And
you think he's a Super Bowl quarterback?
I do not.
All right.
But my point is, I'm looking at this from the Eagles' standpoint, and what I think versus what the Eagles think are two completely different things. I mean, if you go back and look at what I thought, they're not in this situation. Maybe not in this situation because I wouldn't have taken Jalen Hurts with that pick to begin with. But
Right.
That's yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we'll go over the roster here and see who they should possibly bring back or not bring back.
I'm not going to name every player. We'll go with the stars, of course. First up is Derek Barnett, 5th year, Tennessee.
Well,
he's had his moments. He's had his bad moments. Now, the penalty Sunday, I don't think was a late hit. I think Hurts was hit twice after that, later than Brady was hit, and no call. I think he fit
that was frustrating. I mean, you could tell right from the beginning, kind of the way that game was going to go once that was called. I say move on from him.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eagles will.
Where I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be on the Raiders next year.
That's a possibility.
Seems like that's where our defensive ends always go.
Yeah, you're right. And that was the talk today. I was surprised by that, and I don't know how this works. It just caught me by surprise, the Derek Carr talk of him coming to Philadelphia.
I was going to say that. Speaking of the Raiders.
Without question, I take Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah, I like him. I like that whole he'll try to throw. He has a lot of Brett Favre in him that he'll attempt to pass, instead of worrying about the interception. He'll try to squeeze the ball in there. He'll try to make the deep throw. We have to move on from this guy. I hope they realize that.
Yeah,
Derek Carr available?
I caught some talk today about him possibly coming to Philadelphia. I don't know if he's actually available, but I think it's one of those things where the Eagles think they could possibly trade for him. I guess the Raiders are turning some things over with a new GM and different things, and
yeah, it could be that situation where they're ready to move on. He hasn't won there. He hasn't done what he's had to do in Las Vegas. So.
Yeah, Taryn, you're right. Sorry about the Eagles, but they weren't the only NFC East team. I mean, they should just rename that NFC East and just get on with it.
Yeah. Next up, Fletcher Cox, 10 years, Mississippi State, 31 years old.
No, it's time to move on from him as well.
Especially for the money he makes.
Yeah,
and will make. Let's go Andre Dillard. It's an interesting name. 1st round pick. 3 years, Washington State, 26 years old. I don't think the college matters. I'll have to say the college.
No, and I think Andre Dillard is a guy who had a huge upside, but the injuries, I don't know. I don't know if you could get a healthy Andre Dillard, I would say keep him, but he just seems like a guy who's never right, so that's a difficult one with him.
Especially with the emergence of Mailata.
That's exactly right.
He makes Dillard expendable.
And I don't think Dillard can move to a different position. So right. Yeah, if someone's interested in him or he can be let go, yeah, let him go.
Hey. Jordan Howard. I'm the general manager. He's my starting running back next year. I loved him all year long. He was every play he gained positive yardage, which I can't say for Miles Sanders. I'm done with Miles Sanders.
So in other words, Jordan Howard will be in Houston next year.
Yeah, he'll be released.
is what you're saying. Which I agree. I mean, okay, if you're going to have a team, either way, if you structure the team, if you bring in a new quarterback who and the offense is going to turn over to be a passing offense, having the threat of Jordan Howard back there just helps that passing offense. But if you're going to stick with Hurts, then they're going to actually be more of a running team, and you're going to need someone like Jordan Howard. So yeah, keep Jordan Howard.
Yeah. The most interesting of all is Barrett Brooks. He's a $16 million player next year. If you release him, it's $12 million. So it's only going to cost you $4 million to keep him.
Then and I know he's declining some, but I still think there's some good football left in him, and I would bring him back.
I would just like to see him be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's fun of going down the list. Jordan Mailata's next. No college.
Well, that's definitely. I mean, there's
Australia rugby. It just says it's a blank space.
there's no question. Yes.
Yeah, I just talking about the college thing. I skipped him. He's an obvious chef. Steven Nelson. You could put him on the same category as Jalen Reagor. Worthless.
Yep, you definitely could. I mean,
he was so hyped coming out of Pittsburgh. I didn't see one play out of him all season.
No, but he probably looked good on the practice squad or in practice, or he could block.
Yeah.
No, he's got to go.
How about Boston Scott?
I bring Boston Scott back.
He really never did anything wrong.
No.
Everything they've asked of him. Here's an interesting one. Alex Singleton.
Wow.
I watched him get trucked. In the first game against the Buccaneers, Fournette was running him over. But he makes every tackle, so.
Yeah, someone like that. I mean, I guess when you look at the roster and different things, I mean, you'd like to say, well, they need to improve that position, but if they don't, I mean, he's got to be there.
Decent backup, and he's an okay special teams player.
Mm-hmm.
Guess he can make the team.
You're right.
Josh Sweat. I'm surprised at this. Josh Sweat's only 24 years old. He was our best edge rusher this season.
Yeah, Josh Sweat would have to come back. I mean,
absolutely. That's news to me that he's only 24. I had him at like 30. Plus we think Montez, the other Sweat from Washington.
Did they ever come out with what the situation was that happened this last week? I mean, I know he's going to be okay from all the reports.
He was sick. Yeah, he said he almost died.
Yeah, some emergency surgery. I mean, people were speculating it was burst appendix or something, but I don't know if they came out with what the situation was.
Said what it was. No. There's a guy that's been on the team this will be his 4th year, and only catches touchdown passes. Greg Ward.
Well, it's one of those things to where isn't Greg Ward always on the team?
Yeah, he doesn't play.
I mean, yeah, sure. Well, I don't see why not, but
he's a good in the locker room.
Oh, I had a huge conversation about that today. I want to bring up if we have time later about that good in the locker room. I mean, well, hopefully we'll get into it. And I even told the person, I said, I'll invite come on, join the chat tonight or whatever. But no, they were too afraid to do that. But if we have time in a later segment, we'll get into that. But yeah, Greg Ward. I mean, if he's not there, they're just going to replace him with another guy like Greg Ward.
Yeah, I mean, do they draft another receiver? Do they go after another first-round pick? I mean, you put somebody on the other side, it would really help Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and because you're going to get down to Jalen Reagor, who definitely can't be back, and who I
skipped him. He's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, he's a definite no from my perspective. I mean, I believe with the money and everything, the Eagles are going to bring him back, but you're right, he's not someone to put on the other side of Smith, so. No. I guess it depends on who's there.
Who's there? Yeah, who's there? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how high what's his name from Penn State, the Penn State receiver coming out. I don't know how high he's projected, but he'd be a nice player for us. Let's get to Brandon Graham. I guess he'll be coming his 13th year at the age of 34.
No.
Yeah. Maybe 1 year.
If that could be worked out 1 year, that would be interesting. But I'm just thinking with the age, I'm looking at the idea that even that one year might be a mistake.
That's all he's going to get no matter where he goes. 1 year.
True.
Not going to get a long-term contract. Isaac Seumalo, he's been on the team for 6 years now. He was hurt. He's always hurt.
Yeah, no. No, I mean he's a guy who you just said injuries and things like that. But now if all these no's, you're looking at a lot of guys to replace.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they still have Driscoll, who's a young guy. He's only going on his 3rd year. They have Brett Toth. There was another lineman they drafted. They have Landon Dickerson, of course, waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and you don't know what other teams are going to do either, and who will be out there to bring in. But then again, a lot of those guys are just guys who were cut as well, so they might not really be an upgrade.
Hey, look what happened with Eric Fisher.
Yeah,
City picked them up. I mean, Indianapolis picked him up.
Yeah, and there's always a chance of something like that happening. It's just after that loss, and when I'm hearing these names, and the first thing that comes to my head, no. But then again, to think about it realistically, I mean, there's some of those guys who definitely will be back.
Sure.
Yeah, Mike, there is plenty of offensive line to choose from. I'm not. That wasn't the Eagles' problem so much this year. I mean, a lot of what they are going to need is going to be on defense. But if one of the top-rated O linemen's there, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. When you look at the draft, Bobby, are they going to go into it, do you think, with the idea of drafting for need or drafting for best players initially in the first round?
Well, knowing Howie Roseman's history, I'm thinking, and it's just me thinking this, I think he's going to package the picks and try to make a move up to the top 3 or top 4 and get a superstar player.
Well, that would be Kenny Pickett if he's doing that.
Kenny Pickett's not going to go that high.
No, but I think in his mind that's what he'll. I think that if they move up, I think he may try and do that.
Well, you can get Pickett at the picks you have. He's not. I don't think he's a top 10 pick. And Steelers pick him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What teams are up there and may take him? I mean, if they want to go with a younger quarterback, that might be if something doesn't work out with Russell Wilson, that might be the situation. Hey, no one projected them taking Jalen Hurts in the second round either, and they did it.
Well, yeah, even Carson Wentz, who was sitting here in January, the year they picked Wentz, and saying you're going to pick Carson Wentz. He didn't come on till the end.
No, you're right.
Nobody knew who he was.
Well, what about Cameron Rising out of Utah? I mean, he seems to be a guy whose name is coming up as a top pick as well. I don't know if he's a top 10 pick either, but to some other teams, you know, they might think he's some guy who can come in and it looks like he'll be able to at least throw the ball.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's the hot name. Utah played good. Utah, they beat some good teams this year. Malik Willis is another name. Matt Corral's another guy who we liked early on in the year. He's on the outside of the top 10. Now I see Washington possibly taking Pickett.
Oh, well, yeah.
But when I said about the Eagles packaging and moving up, the guy that was on my mind is Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. I think he's a game changer. He's a J.J. Watt type player.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy I could see them trying to make a move up to get.
You know the Eagles, though, they're going to take some guy out of Pepperdine nobody heard of and try to move in there. Pickett will not get past Denver, in your opinion. Yeah, Denver probably would be foolish to pass on him, I think.
Denver picks ninth. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that high. I've seen Pickett play. He's had good games, had bad games. When they talk about Pickett, they talk about his hands for some reason. He doesn't have big hands.
You know, that last name just doesn't go well in the NFL as a quarterback. Pickett.
Yeah, right.
Pickett 6 would probably be his nickname in Philadelphia if he came there.
Yeah. I see one mock draft actually has him going 5th to the Giants.
Wow.
I don't think why would they pick? I don't think Daniel Jones is that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a possibility too, with the Giants. I mean, they just might want to put a fresh face out there just to for the fans at least.
Yeah. I mean, it seems consensus wise, Evan Neal's going to be the number 1 pick going to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Offensive line from Alabama.
Is Doug Peterson going to Jacksonville?
I don't know.
Is Gannon going to Jacksonville? I don't think he's in.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Me and you'll drive him down.
My goodness. I mean,
who would hire him?
That's what I said. That's what I said on social media the other day, on Twitter when there were some reports that he was going to get interviewed for some head coaching jobs. I said, well, those jobs are going to be rescinded at halftime of this game, possibly.
I can't see a team pick him and heckle their Twitter.
I don't know, but there's probably a lot of people in Indianapolis who's like, Nick Sirianni, why are they? You go ahead, take him.
I know.
But no, his game plan was just atrocious on Sunday.
He plays not to lose. He doesn't play to win.
Yeah, but as soon as they were behind, it was. I mean, I figured the Eagles would get behind in the game, but I thought that'd be a good thing because they've been doing that recently, and it just no, it was a situation where Tom Brady and the Buccaneers were good enough to pick apart the defense, and the offense was stalled by the fact that Jalen Hurts just doesn't have it.
I agree. It seems like the Eagles picking defense is everybody has the Eagles picking defense. I see one had them picking Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. It was probably the second best lineman in the whole draft.
Wouldn't be a bad idea if he's there.
Yeah. Another one has them picking Devin Lloyd. See Drake Jackson, a linebacker out of USC. They don't pick linebackers.
No, they don't.
Andrew Booth, cornerback from Clemson. I don't know these names.
Yeah.
There's Desmond Ridder going to Pittsburgh at 20. So actually, the Eagles pick. How did the Eagles pick before Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
They had a better record. That's right. They were 9-7-1.
Yeah, and I guess that's why. That's why they had a better record.
So we picked before then.
Yeah. It's just frustrating sitting here tonight talking about this and knowing that they need a quarterback when aren't the Eagles the quarterback factory?
Yeah.
Where's the quarter? Oh God.
Well, before we came on the air, I want to transition to the Sixers real quick. I heard a trade that was offered to the Sixers. Now, the Detroit Pistons offered us a guy that I mentioned earlier, Jeremy Grant. They wanted to package him with a former Villanova player, Sadiq Bey, and journeyman traveling long hair Gonzaga player, Kelly Olynyk.
Yep.
Along with a first-round pick. Now, I don't know what the first-round pick, what year it was. If it was this year, that's a top 5 pick. I don't think the Sixers should have just shrugged it off. It's not a bad offer.
Ben Simmons for a top 5 pick this year is enough.
Right.
At this point with what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, after the show, I'm going to really look into this. I'm like, if this was real, the Sixers didn't even consider it.
Well, like I told you before we started the show, I've just come to the conclusion, and hopefully I'm wrong about this, but Daryl Morey has got it in his head. Ben Simmons is going to play for the Sixers or he's not playing again. Now, I know the object, well, if we could get a top star in the league for a trade or whatever, I'm off that. I'm to the point now, he's just decided, look, okay, you don't want to play for us, then you're not playing. Which I know it sounds ridiculous, but what you're talking about now, I would have just jumped at something like that and said, look, we'll move on.
Plus, you get to put him in Detroit, which is a disgraceful team.
Hey,
they're 10-32. He's not going to win there.
No.
He has to be cold every time he comes out of his house.
Yeah, and there's no threat of meeting them in the playoffs.
No. I'd let him rot in Detroit. The only thing is he would get paid, which the Sixers would.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to pay him, but they'd have to live with the fact knowing he's getting paid. But
well, and we're looking at a situation in Philadelphia again where the best player in the league is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, just like Bryce Harper. Right?
And there's not enough around him to where the team can compete.
I agree.
And it's very frustrating. And the team won back-to-back games last week. In the second part of that back-to-back, they went down to Miami, got behind, came back, and then they just laid an egg in Washington yesterday. And it's one of those things to where, okay, those things are going to happen. But when you have a guy like Embiid who's going to give you 30 a night, and you can't get anything out of Tobias Harris on a regular basis, it's just frustrating.
Right. I'm looking at Sadiq Bey's stats. He's averaging 15.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists a game.
Hopefully we wake up tomorrow and that trade's been made.
I hope so.
I know.
Jeremy Grant is just a right-handed Ben Simmons. Same thing, but he shoots the ball.
Yeah, he's not passing up that dunk in the playoffs.
Huh.
And you have this is something, the intangible to that trade. Those guys are coming to a team with a chance to win. They're not on a team with a chance to win now.
Right. I mean, I would seriously consider this.
Yeah, Sacramento keeps being thrown out there too. As I don't see the Sixers making that deal either and throwing Tobias Harris. I don't see Sacramento making the deal. Number one,
Yeah, nobody wants Tobias Harris.
no. Other than that, at this point, there's not much that's really been discussed of a possible trade situation for the Sixers.
No, everything else has been rumor, but I mean, this is something that seems like it actually happened. If this picks this season, I would do it.
I agree with you.
Saddiq Bey's 22 years old. Sorry if you hear me typing. I'm actually tweeting right now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, to where you'd have to then come to the conclusion that Coach Rivers is someone who can get those guys to play together, and if you would make that trade here in the next couple of days, get them there for the second half of the season, and be able to see what you have. I mean, there's not a dominant team this year in the East, and I mean,
Exactly.
the top teams, the Sixers have beaten the Bulls, they've beaten the Nets, they've beaten the Heat.
There's not a dominant team in the NBA.
No, you're right.
It's been wide open for us. It's so frustrating knowing you have Embiid and you can't win. Don't win.
Well, and true, and what the situation would come out again in the playoffs is, I mean, I know he may put up some good numbers in the regular season. He'll put up some good numbers in the playoffs. It's a different game in the playoffs once it becomes a half-court game, and that's where the Sixers had suffered over the last number of years with Ben Simmons. So, I mean, if teams are going to have to triple team or double team all the time, Embiid, I don't know, them guys from Detroit. You're right. Let's go and let's move on from Simmons and let's see what's available.
Well, Mike says the Eagles would have to go to the top 2 for Hutchinson. I mean, not if they pick Neal and Thibodeau from Oregon. I mean, maybe he could fall to 3. And he also says that it could be a protected pick. What's it going to be? How? What's it going to be protected? They're going to be in the lottery. What's it going to be? Top 2 protected?
Or number 1 overall protected, maybe.
Yeah,
You're right though. Because they're definitely in the lottery and probably picking in the top 5.
Yeah.
So.
What are they going to say if it's top 5 and get next year's pick? They're still going to stink.
Yeah, and I don't know at this point who those picks would be, but hey.
Ben Simmons doesn't make a team win. They'll find that out quickly.
Yeah, they will. Oh, and the thing too is Ben will look. I think if that trade took place, he would look good in Detroit initially. I mean, he'll play some defense. He'll be actually maybe trying to shoot the ball. I don't know, but he'll be scoring some, looking like he can make assists. And it's like, wow, look, the Sixers gave up on this. Yeah, just give it time.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's another situation where somebody has to score on a team like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Well, you go out there and get 10 points a night for the Pistons.
Yeah.
And the Sixers have a couple games coming up this week that they should be able to win, even though they've struggled mightily at home compared to last year. The Magic are coming in and the Clippers are coming in. So
they used to be unbeatable at home.
Yeah.
But guess what? As we sit here, the Sixers are 2.5 games out of first in the Eastern Conference.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep. Missing their best player for 11 games, so they'd easily be in front if they had him.
Or if they had a comparable Ben Simmons.
Yep.
Or
but on the other hand, we sit there and I say they're 2.5 out of first. They're only 3 games out of 10th.
Okay. Well, just imagine if they had the Tobias Harris from last year, who arguably was an All-Star, even though he wasn't on the All-Star team. That would change things for sure.
I think he's in his own head now. I mean, he missed a gimme layup yesterday and was getting booed in Washington. The Sixers fans were booing him on the road. So, I mean, he's a guy that's probably in his own head at this. He's going to turn into the next Ben Simmons.
Well, I'm going to start calling him Tobaby Harris instead of Tobias Harris for the way he's been acting. My goodness. Give me that money. You can boo me, and I'll tell you what. I'll go down to AT&T Stadium and let the fans throw stuff at me for that money. What a disgrace that was.
What, Dallas?
Yeah, the fans throwing stuff. You know, if that was Philadelphia, that would have been all over forever. And my goodness, I I put out there the other day. Yeah, the people in Philadelphia, they in 1893 they threw snowballs at Santa Claus, and ever since then, the fans are the worst that exist.
Exactly. And another thing, watching the Sixers game yesterday, I noticed that anytime Harrell was in the game, Embiid didn't want to go into the paint. He wouldn't drive. He was like a wall. He can't get through those type of guys. Those big, thick, 7-foot guys with attitude. It seems like he's afraid.
Yeah, and it's one of those things to where we've seen that, and that's been an issue with him throughout his career. And we've actually seen him sit out some games against centers like that. And and then he relies on the fact, okay, well, I can shoot from the outside, but
right.
That's at times not what the Sixers need. And yeah, yesterday afternoon with a special start because of Martin Luther King Day, it was just a rough game to watch.
Yeah, they seemed like they were just tired. It was the end of a road trip, and they just didn't have it.
Yeah, and it was as Philadelphia fans, we were just trying to get the taste of that Eagles game out of our mouths and things like that, and and that didn't happen.
Nope.
That did not happen. Hey, we've hit the 8:36 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:36 on the West Coast. You want to just take a short break, and then we'll come back with the conclusion of the show. We'll have some talk about maybe some baseball, and we'll have the Flyers minute.
Sure. Yeah, the Phillies signed some players. So
they did.
Talk about that. First, we'll talk about IE Sports Radio, which is why we're here tonight. For the last 7.5 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country, including Philadelphia. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Exactly. Thank you all very much. There are a ton of great shows here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Check out all the shows, a lot of great hosts, and it's a lot of fun. And Bobby and I are thankful that we have the opportunity to come on here each week. The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team, let me talk to you about them. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization because the players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it is playing to get film to try out for big-time colleges or for professional teams, or just playing to stay in shape no matter what. This is the most important part. These guys play for the love of the game, and the SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players the second chance that they deserve since 2017. So whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, if you or you know someone who should get themselves back into sports, check out semi-pro sports in your area and get back into sports today. If you don't have semi-pro sports in your area, you know what to do. You check out the Southern California Warriors. You can find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. Instagram, it's at Southern California _Warriors. Facebook, Southern California Warriors. If you own a business and you're looking to hire somebody, it's very important to get a background check on who you hire, and there's nobody better to do that for you than Kit Freeman. Let him take care of that process for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994. He's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit. Let him make the hiring process that much easier for you. The better employees you have, the happier your customers are going to be. Of course, that's going to make your business better, make you more money. Check him out today on the website at bcint.com, which stands for Background Check International. Bobby and I will take a short break, and then we will return.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back and in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio here on Tuesday night, 8:34 p.m. on the East Coast, West Coast 8:43 p.m. on the East Coast, and that would be 5:43 on the West Coast. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is back, and the world famous Flyers Minute, I think, is coming up. The Flyers, I believe, are tied 2-2 right now with the Islanders. Struggling still. Losers of 8 straight. And today it was announced that Kevin Hayes is going to miss a month, so they're without him and Sean Couturier. It's just a lost season for the Flyers, and I'm just to the point now where I don't think the people who are running the team know what they're doing.
I have nothing to add to that one.
No, the only thing that we added each week is that those Florida Panthers seem to be the top team, and that's who we predicted, and that wraps up your Flyers Minute. Transitioning into the Philadelphia Phillies, who did make some news this week.
They did. They actually signed a international player, which we always get on them for not doing.
Well, they signed a couple international players, but they signed a top international player.
Yeah, they signed a shortstop from Venezuela named William Bergolla Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They actually paid him $2 million, which represents 40% of their $5.1 million international bonus pool.
Wow.
It's actually pronounced Bergolla. He's ranked 4th among international amateur prospects by MLB Pipeline. His father spent 10 years in the minor leagues, which doesn't really tell me much. He played briefly in the majors, had 1 RBI and 5 hits for the Cincinnati Reds.
So that 2030 Phillies roster will look good with him on it.
Yeah. His father's first major league hit came against the Phillies, a pinch hit single off of Billy Wagner in 2005.
Billy must have threw a changeup.
Yeah. I don't know much about this kid. I mean, he must like something about him if they gave him $2 million at the age of 16. But they also signed, I believe they signed Freddie Galvis at the age of 16 too. How'd that work out? So.
Well, where's he playing next year? China?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
This kid's only 5'10", 155. I don't think they got him for his power.
No, and when you talk about Phillies and shortstops, I guess is it going to be Didi again this year?
I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I'd like to see them give Bryson Stott a shot. I mean, I guess they'll play him a lot in the preseason and see how he does. I guess they'll give him a chance to win the job.
Yeah, and I guess it's a situation too where as fans, we just sit here and wait to see what Major League Baseball is going to do.
Yeah,
I was making a joke with some people I go back and forth with on Twitter who are Mets fans. I said, wouldn't it just be the Mets' luck after all they did in the offseason and there was no season this year? Hey,
during the break, I brought up Juan Soto's brother. He's either 15 or 16, depending on what you read. His name is Elian Soto. Okay, there was a video of him taking batting practice, and the ball just makes that's different sounds coming off his bat. He already seems like he has it. He looks like he's 20 years old already. 12 days ago, the story was New York Post, Juan Soto's brother Elian plans to sign with the Mets. 6 days ago, teen baseball prospect Elian Soto verbally agrees to join the Washington Nationals. So
wow.
The Phillies division can't get away from these Soto brothers.
No, and the division just keeps getting better and better, and that's not helping the Phillies at all.
Not at all.
And baseball can't come soon enough with the crappy wild card weekend that just happened. Yeah, Brad, that's kind of true. There wasn't too many competitive games. I mean, the Raiders and Bengals was a good game, and the Cowboys 49ers was a decent game. Dallas being the only home team to lose this weekend.
Yeah, and next weekend seems like the could be setting itself up for a couple upsets. I mean, we have some really low lines. Tennessee only a 3-point favorite over Cincinnati. So
I like Cincinnati in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's not the most impressive number 1 seed by far.
No.
Kansas City Buffalo should be a great game.
Oh my goodness, it should.
I like Kansas City. I think Kansas City goes all the way. Especially if they get through this game. They
can't turn it over early though.
Right. But the way they can throw the ball, that's tough. That's tough to defend for 60 minutes.
You're right. Well, Josh Allen's not too bad at throwing the ball either. But you're right. Their offense is not the same as Kansas City.
Yeah, he doesn't have the weapons of Kansas. The speed, wide receiver, Kansas
exactly.
City.
And of course, the head coach Andy Reid.
Yeah. And you go to the NFC. You got San Francisco traveling to Green Bay. They're a 6-point underdog.
And I see Green Bay winning that game handily. Unfortunately, and Gina, if you check into the podcast, I apologize, but I don't think the Niners are going to fare too well up there in cold Green Bay.
Exactly. My boys from Philly. What's up, Larry? How are you? We just talked on the break about we have a wide receiver that we think we scouted for the Southern California Warriors for next year. Jalen Reagor. $10 million. That's all you got to pay him. We can work out a deal. And then the final game is going to be the Rams heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the world champions.
Who's winning that one, Bobby?
Tampa Bay.
I disagree.
The Rams don't do it. We said that we don't like the Rams.
I know, but I just have the feeling they win this one. I'm probably way off, but from what I saw the other night from that team, and just the fact that we've been saying that there's some holes in Tampa and some of their, I don't know if they'll have some of their same guys out that should have helped the Eagles this week but didn't. I think the Rams might be able to go in there and win that one.
I don't know. I feel like that they're going to do the same thing to the Rams offense they did to the Eagles offense. They're going to do the opposite. They're going to take away the pass and force them to run.
Yeah, you might be right.
And Matthew Stafford's been struggling. I know they won, but he's not completing a lot of passes. And Cooper Kupp didn't have the best game either. He only caught 4 passes.
A lot of it's wishful thinking on my part because I just want to see Tampa knocked out.
I really don't care who wins the game, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Brad says the end of the fourth quarter of the San Francisco-Dallas game was pure comedy. I don't feel either team deserved to win. Yeah, it's probably true. It was a joke. Imagine they had to respot the ball and they get the false start on Trent Williams. It was comedy.
Yeah, and the last drive that the Niners had, there was no reason for the 2 penalties that Dallas had there as well. The one holding penalty and the one hands to the face penalty. I mean, they were definite penalties, but at the worst possible time and no reason for them. Like I said last week, I had family there, my mother and my sister, so that kind of ruined ruined their trip. But I've never seen a game end that way. That was insane. Yeah.
Tyler Beasley joining us in the chat. What's up, Philly fellas? What's up, Tyler? Thanks for joining us. We have 10 minutes left here.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask you real quick though was the discussion I had with some people on social media today. It was surrounding Andrew McCutchen, believe it or not.
Okay.
And the thought coming against me was that the Phillies should bring Andrew McCutchen back, or that he'd be a valuable piece to another team. And I'm like, no, he batted .222 last year, and
yeah.
And one of the comments was, imagine in 2022 using batting average as a way of evaluating a player. And I mean, some of the other stats that they put in there, WAR, OPS, things like that. I mean, they looked okay, but
who were you talking to? Matt Klentek?
I believe so, just under a different just under a different name is who I think I was talking to. And then of course the comment that just frustrates me to no end. The comment came out, well, he's a great presence in the locker room. I'd rather he be a great presence on the field.
He could be a great presence in somebody else's locker room.
That's why I said Baltimore or Pittsburgh will be happy to have Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, they can have him. No, they won't. Yeah. They're not going to put that kind of money out for a veteran. He's going to, not unfortunately, but for him, he's probably going to go to a contender because there's no point in playing for a young team, and a young team's not going to put the money out. I mean, he's going to end up on a team like the Yankees, probably coming off the bench, being a pinch hitter. That's all he is at this point in his career is a home run off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, look, the one tweet I have here, just in the same thing under my comment on him batting .222. Well, it was a 1.027 OPS versus lefties. Okay, and my thing is, I mean, you can pick the numbers or whatever you want. I mean, he wasn't the major glaring problem with the Phillies. The problem with the Phillies were they have too many people like Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, too many guys that hit for low average and high power.
Yeah, and there was the other thing today, just on the Phillies topic, was what do you think Ranger Suarez is going to do next year? And you know, he's looking to be the number 2 or 3 starter for the Phillies next year, and it's one of those things to where I think a lot of teams are going to have the book on him, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do even close to what he did at the end of the season last year.
Well, the thing with him is, does he have the stamina to pitch 200 innings? Is he going to be stretched out? I don't know.
And he's not a guy who's throwing that 98, 99 mile an hour fastball either.
No, but he's left-handed. If he can throw 95.
Yep, and that's the thing. He's left-handed and he can hit some spots and he looked like a guy who wanted the ball, wants to be out there, wants to compete, which is all good things. And I'm hoping I'm wrong on the fact that I don't think he's going to have over 500 season this year. But hopefully I'm wrong.
He's actually a guy I'm excited to see this year.
I agree.
I'm not down on him going in, so that's something to watch for. You can't say that about a lot of Phillies next year.
No, and I looking forward to baseball getting this thing fixed, and then seeing if the Phillies do sign somebody like Kyle Schwarber or someone like that.
No, Brad. No. See what Brad just put on the chat board.
Which?
No.
Oh.
Mickey Moniak is not the future of center field for the Phillies.
Well, if you go back to 2016, it was a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, with this team, you never know.
I remember being excited the night they drafted him, a 5-tool player. Wow, next superstar.
Well, how can you go wrong with a name like Mickey? I mean, the two famous Mickeys, Mickey Mantle and Morandini. I mean,
yeah, they were comparing him to Steve Finley when they drafted him, that type of player. Nope. No. So over the weekend, what was the coolest thing I saw on TV? You're probably going to say the same thing. The commercials during the football games. What's coming up at the Coliseum? Did you see that? A NASCAR race at the Coliseum?
That's going to be an interesting event, isn't it?
That's awesome. I thought it was a joke.
Nope.
What is it? How big's the track? What is it? A mile? It can't be a mile, right?
I would doubt it. It's going to have to be shorter than a mile.
Right, way shorter. It's a football stadium.
Yeah.
It's got to be like less than Bristol almost. I didn't mean to say a mile. I meant to say a half mile.
Yeah, half mile. You're right.
But is it? Is it a half mile around? I don't know. That's cool though.
Yeah. And and right now I'm picking Kyle Larson to win it.
But what's the surface? Are they going to pave it? Or are they going to? They'd have to do a lot of work. It's a football field with a track around the outside, like a track and field.
But I'll tell you what was interesting too is that the one thing that NASCAR has gotten away from here recently is promoting stuff like that and doing things like that. But I think it's a absolute bonus for the sport, and I look forward to it.
That's a lot of money to convert a football field into a racetrack.
Yeah.
And it's only for the Busch Clash too. It's not a real race. I mean, it's not a points race.
No. I know, and it's just a little something there to nuance the sport and add something to it. And I like I said, I think it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was something we had here on the East Coast. You brought a NASCAR race to Lincoln Financial Field. That's a must go to. Oh,
absolutely. And I think it's one of those things that's cool too, because we sit here mid-January. Well, a month from now, NASCAR will be getting ready to start.
Yeah, the race is February 6th, I believe. That's less than a month.
Yeah, and actually, when you talk about things starting, the Philadelphia Union are having some preseason games coming up, and soccer is a very long season as well. And
it just ended. It's like golf all year round.
Yeah, seems like it. It seems like it, and with the run they had last year, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a long season, and you get those games where it just seems like teams aren't what they should be, but with it being a long season, and hopefully this Union team is going to be as good as they were last year.
Yeah, it's a shame they had that COVID hit them, or else they might have won. They might have won the championship.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it went to New York.
Yeah, Portland.
Portland couldn't pull it out. A game that ended with penalty kicks and
NYCFC taking the title. Oh, we'd like to thank Adam, Taryn, Mike. Sorry, scrolling up. Larry, Brad, Tyler. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate you.
Anybody else who then listens to us further on anywhere on social media, thank you very much for checking us out.
And where can they find us on social media?
Chris Amos 717. Just come on there and tell me how bad my opinions are.
At Bobby Cash 215 and at Philly Talk IE.
And we will be back here next week, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. with Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. We'll have some Sixers to talk about. We'll see how they've responded to that loss yesterday. We'll talk some more NFL playoffs, and who knows what else will come up. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week. Thank you for joining us.
Stay tuned for the Neutral Zone.